Hi, good morning. I'm Reg Goslin from Improving Performance Personal Coaching. Thank you very much for joining me. This is the event for the 9th of September, and it is the Career Advance and Development Group Coaching Program. And this week's one is entitled How to Stand Out in a Group. Okay, before we even start, I'm going to keep the video running, obviously, but I'd like to interact with some slideware that I'll do, and I'll be back straight after that. So bear with me a second so I can share my screen with you. Is that the one? Yep, it is. Yes, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, thank you for joining me. I'm Reg Goslin from Improving Performance, and this is the Career Advance and Development Group Coaching Program. Just a quick run through. I do this every time. This is about different generations that I work with, and the generations in the workplace are baby boomers right the way down to Generation Z. Baby boomers are born in the early 40s to the 60s, and they were working in that time. Generation X, people are born around 1964 to 80. Xennials had a period in the middle before the much talked about millennials were born around the early 1980s until the mid 1990s, and they were also known as Generation Y. And then you've got the Generation Z that are now in the workplace, who are the youngest generation in the workplace. Just to give you an introduction to coaching as a process, it's for people that are looking for career development, people that are looking for personal development. There are people out there that are unsure of what coaching actually is, and they don't really necessarily understand or are exposed to the benefits of the coaching process. And there are people that are out there that do, that just want a taster of what it is. There are people out there who are seeking change in their careers, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they want to leave the companies that they're in, but they want to do something different within the business. And in some businesses you can go from, for instance, sales over to marketing. So that's career change in itself as well. And there are people as well that are coming back into the work environment after a long period out. And there's lots of reasons why they might have taken time out. And there are people that are unchallenged, like myself. When I left the company that I worked with 4 or 5 years ago, it's because they're unchallenged. There was nothing else to learn there per se, and there's nothing there to develop their careers. So they need to do something different. And finally, it's for people as well who may not necessarily have the resources to work one-to-one with a personal development practitioner to help them with the intervention that they're looking for. And this session is a coaching session. It's going to be one way. So if you've got a pen and paper and somewhere where you can be not interrupted, somewhere nice and quiet, I can take questions in the box, but I'll tend to take those on a Friday. On a Thursday, I would do a Facebook Live or another video, just drop it on there live and take people's questions. But if you've got any questions that you want to ask that are not coming through today, then by all means send them to me and I'll answer them via the Career Advance and Development group page or the Generation X group pages. Okay, every session has a topic when we do this. It's bi-weekly, so it's every other week, and every topic has a focus that I tend to set in advance. And tonight's topic is about how you can stand out in your team at work. Eventually this will become a subscription service, and what I will do is I do put these online. I'm still working through the Delta ones and getting them online. It starts in a second and it's only for about 30 minutes, so let's get started. By the end of this group coaching event, you will be able to understand the hacks and the tips that will help you to stand out in the workplace, to help you to be visible, how to build your personal brand. You'll be able to understand. And your personal brand is important to you, especially when it comes to standing out in the workplace, and how you can contribute when everybody else is keen to shine. You know what it's like sometimes we're in a place where everybody's hungry, everybody's keen. What can you do to propel yourself through that business? Okay, the first question that we'd like to ask is, what do you want? What do you want out of your job? What do you want out of your career? I remember I went through this a couple of weeks ago, must have been about a month ago, when we talked about the difference between a job and the difference between a career. A job and a career. A job is something that you go to, it's transactional, you get paid by the hour or a wage, and you do it, and then you go home, and that's it. It's generally task orientated. You're responsible for something. With a career, it's something that you train for, something that you get a specific skill for, that people will call you for. It's more of a specialist role, and something that you tend to do for the whole of your working life. Generally speaking, that's not as a rule, but generally that's what a career is. It's usually salaried. It usually has a benefits package that sits behind it. Okay, whether that be medical, whether that be company car, whether it be communications, it usually comes with something that denotes the value to the business. And you go to work. Everybody goes to work. I go to work. You go to work. But what do you go for? As I said at the top of this call, that there are 5 generations in the workplace. It's a multi-generational place, and as such, really, it is for people that have different reasons and different objectives for going to work. So you could be somebody who's bringing up the family and you need to go to work. You could be somebody that just wants to pay the bills. You're not really interested in pushing yourself, but you just got bills that you want to pay, like the mortgage or the rent, council tax, what have you. And there are people out there that are at a certain age that don't necessarily need to work, but they want to work because they want the more holidays than they would normally have. There's lots of different reasons why people go to work. That's the point that we're making here. And there are people out there who just want the money to buy the toys that they want. They want that motorbike. They want that holiday home. They want that car, toys, whatever it is that they want. Okay, so let me just go back a bit. When I say what it is that you want, there's going to be an objective. There has to be a reason. And I did an event about 2 months ago, which was about knowing your purpose, understanding your why. And that means that there are, because there are different people in the workplace, you're going to have to work and fit in with those people as well. Okay, so when you go to work, wherever you are, whatever the discipline, whatever your responsibility and whatever your role is, there is a minimum standard. And that minimum standard for a team member is that you need to all work to the same standard. And when I say that, I mean there could be 10 people in the team and all of you have a minimum standard and a minimum responsibility, whatever your specific role is. And the minimum standards are things like never be late. There's never an excuse for being late as far as I'm concerned. There can be reasons. You could be going to work and there's an accident on the motorway. There could be a train delay because of signal fault or signal failure or something. All of those things are reasons why people can be late for work. But outside of that, those are things that you cannot legislate for. These are things that are beyond your control. But with all the things that are within your control, then it's your fault if you're late. Everything else is your fault. Therefore, it's your responsibility to take the emotion out of it and just get into work on time. I know it sounds a silly thing to do, but you're trying to remember what the objective of this is to try to get you to stand out at work. So in terms of attendance, everything else is your fault and it's your responsibility. So ask yourself a question. How do you think it looks to the rest of the team when you're late? And if we really do stretch that, how does it impact the business when you call in sick? You know what it's like if you are really sick, then obviously this doesn't count, but it is worth considering. But supposing you've been out and you've been out with friends and you've had a really good night out and you've got to go to work the next morning, but you know what, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to feel up to having too good a time and I'm going to be too drunk or whatever it is that you do. When you say that you're not going to go in and you pick the phone up and you call and say, I'm out, I'm not going to be in today, I'm out today. It's kind of disrespectful to the rest of your team because, and here's the thing, somebody else has to pick up that work. Somebody else has to make that operation still function, and that's usually the manager or somebody who's going to have to work a little bit later to cover your post. I know that people out there's some people that actually believe that sick absence days are part of their leave and holiday entitlement. I have heard that in my not too distant past at work, but I still think that's a mindset thing, really. It really depends on how you see yourself and your standing and your respect for yourself, in my opinion. You can tell that's a bit of a bugbear for me, being late. But being professional, when you leave your home and you get to work, consider yourself as that guy. I can't remember what his name is. The ginger-haired fella, plays the guitar. He's usually got about 3 or 4 albums in the charts. I genuinely can't remember his name. But think that you're like him. Every time you leave your house and you get to work, you get to your place of work, you are on stage. What do you want people to see? What do you want your customers to see? What do you want your team to see? What do you want your suppliers or the suppliers to the company to see? The customers want to see that you're professional. Yep. The team need to see that you're professional, because if you're professional, they act professionally as well. It's like performance, isn't it? It's like, you know, those fixed wheel bikes that they use in indoor cycle races, where wherever you're pedaling, you have to keep pedaling because you can't stop pedaling. Well, what happens is the person that's at the back gets pushed to go faster, and then they keep going, and then somebody else is at the back. And once that person's at the back, they don't want to be seen as the person at the back, so they pedal faster and faster to get back up with the pack. So what you're doing always is improving the performance of the team. That's what the standard is. And the suppliers, even though they're providing you with a service, they need to be kept on their toes, because if they see that they're dealing with a professional company, they themselves want to make sure that they're promoting a professional business for themselves. So you owe it to yourself to deliver the minimum standard. I don't think you should aim for it, but that's the minimum that you should expect of yourself. There's another place that you can stand out, and that is in meetings. Meetings are integral to the way that some businesses work. They have regular team meetings, internal meetings. So here's the question for you. Are you one of those people who turns up 5 minutes before a meeting starts? Okay, if you think about it, why would you do that? It's one of those situations that if you arrived 15, maybe 20 minutes early, you can influence people. You can engage with the banter that's going on with the other colleagues and people that you haven't spoken to for a long time or haven't had time to sit and have a conversation with. You can consider it as networking if you wanted to, with people, with your peers, with people you might not always speak to, as I said just now, and you're creating an opportunity for inclusion moving further down the line. Okay, so arrive early. That's one of the things that I would say, and speak up. You know, sometimes in the workplace, and I know it happens in the corporate world because I've worked there, sometimes you might allow the more senior person to speak up, and that's a sign of respect. And I get that, because you've only been there 5 minutes, or they've been there longer than you, or they're a specialist in their field, so you leave them to talk. And like I said, I get that, but it isn't always right. The reason I say it's not always right is because the more that happens, the more or the less that you are visible. So you actually become invisible in that meeting room. So if you're shy, I understand that. Wait 10 to 15 minutes and then ask a question or answer one. What you can do as well is, you know what it's like when you want to ask a question, you think, right, I'm going to ask this question in a minute when there's a moment. And just as you're about to ask your question or answer somebody's question, somebody else says what you were going to say. Happens all the time. But, you know, don't worry about that. What you can do is build on that discussion. You can wait until that person's finished and you could say, do you know what? That's a fantastic point, you know. And you mentioned X, Y, and Z. Can you expand on that, as I'd like to understand it a bit more? Something like that is absolutely fine. Then it expands and makes the conversation, takes it into another direction. So you can be a person that influences how far that goes. Tackling a problem. This is where you step outside of your comfort zone. Most people want to talk about things that actually are working at the moment, stuff that's already established, already working. And what you could do is focus on things that need improving, things that aren't working as well. You could come up with some suggestions that could make those things work better. That's how you stand out. Because if you come up with a rationale, you come up with a reason why it could be improved and what the benefits of it being improved is, then you've got more license to be able to get that working and standing out yourself in a crowd of people. Remember, that's how it happens. And next steps. It's a very, very simple one. It's someone has to talk about the next steps for any program, any action plan. So why not be you that asks what the next steps are? It's just a way of speaking without necessarily adding too much to it if you're a person that's very, very shy. And the second thing that you could do is understand or build on your personal brand. Now, your personal brand is the difference between you being noticed and not being noticed. You might be looking for a promotion to a supervisor role, or you could be looking for another role within the business or the enterprise or the organization. And you may want to get noticed for your hard work, for instance, or a specific project that you're actually working on in the workplace. You might have difficulty standing out in those situations from the crowd, especially if everyone is having the same objective, you know. Or they have the same aim. Okay, so the first way that you could stand out is with loyalty. Now, loyalty is one way when it comes to you. It has to be something that you deliver. It can come the other way, but it's one way that you can deliver for the business and stand out, especially in small organizations or operations where commitment and dedication is vital to the operation of the organization. So here's an example. I said it to you earlier on about chronic lateness and people that are late. It negatively impacts the operations, and then you end up with higher attrition rates. Higher attrition rates is how many people leave the company. And then people turnover then becomes high. Stability is then affected and impacted in a negative way. Processes and projects that are going on within the company end up falling behind, which impacts the performance of the business. So loyalty is important. So if you can, just get in early, get in on time, and get the job done. Work at it. Professionalism. I will say that word, but it isn't even a word. I mean, I even looked it up yesterday when I was writing some of this, but everybody knows what it means. Isn't that interesting? Not no such word, but everybody knows what it means. But in the company, there will be an employee handbook, and in that handbook, it will outline the standards and the practices that the business wants you to go through and the processes. But many businesses rely on discretionary effort. And discretionary effort from the individual is something that a business relies on. It doesn't pay for, but without it, it can't survive. It literally cannot survive. And I'll expand on that in a moment. Your appearance, sorry, I just went, before I go back, your appearance is important, because even if your manager has a relaxed view on your appearance, you should consider who and how you engage within the business. If you engage outside of the workplace, how is your appearance going to impact? Doesn't mean that you can't have makeup on and you can't have tattoos. I'm not talking about that. It's how you present yourself, and it's how you appear. Because remember, I said this a few months ago as well, when you meet somebody for the first time, that person will make their mind up within 7 to 10 seconds. Now, whether that you think that is right or wrong, or whether you think it's terrible that people are judgmental, totally get all of that, but it is still a fact. And it's whatever it is that you want to portray to the person that you're speaking to is what you need to cultivate. Okay, the company mission. Now, a company mission is what guides you in that business on a daily basis. The goals and the objectives of the company are written in the company mission. If you don't know what the company mission is, then just ask one of the managers. They will tell you. And just asking that question will actually help you. Be eager to learn. You should always be wanting to learn and grow your skills over time. You know, this increases your personal value within the business. So you need to be a constant learner who isn't afraid to learn new things. Standing out at work is about having a constant hunger for growth and the ability to keep developing and not settle for mediocrity. Why would you settle for mediocre? That is one of the bugbears that I have. It's a huge one for me. Why would you accept the lowest performance that you can get away with, whether it be at work or in your personal life? It's a mindset thing, so don't accept that for yourself. That's an order. Confidence is important as well. Confidence in your abilities. When I say confidence, so I just need to take a quick swig. Sorry. Those that impress at work are those that seem to be more confident. Those are the people that demonstrate greater confidence. And confidence comes with knowledge of exactly what you're doing. It comes with having new ideas that are readily embraced or accepted by team members or the business. It's standing up for yourself. Confident people actually go out of their way to learn. They go out of their way to try new things. They go out their way to be creative. They aren't afraid to take risks, and they aren't shy of criticism, constructive criticism, that is. So they don't take it personally. Extending the personal brand as well, is be the go-to person for the team. Be the go-to person for the company. A go-to person is trusted by all of the teams and all of the management to do something, to get it done. They provide creative ways, as I said just now, and they aren't overcome by objectives and barriers. They just get on with it. Okay, they aren't what I would call whingy whiners. Every business has got a whingy whiner. I don't care what company you work for. Every company has a whingy whiner. A whingy whiner is the person that knows all of the problems that the company has. They know all of the problems and are never offering or will never offer a solution to any of those problems. And they don't even try to. And that's what a whingy whiner is. Do not be that guy. EQ, it's the emotional quotient, or it's also known as emotional intelligence. Now, listen, I'm going to do a session on emotional intelligence later on in the autumn. But there are people in your workplace and all over the world, if you like, but in your workplace, thinking of the context here, everybody has somebody who doesn't engage. There's always somebody who's quiet in the workplace. They don't want to speak, they don't engage, they're not proactive, they never socialize, they never ever give an opinion and don't positively contribute. Doesn't mean they don't contribute, but they're just not interested in engaging with everybody. And in the opposite corner, there's the people that are full of energy, always contributing, always positive, absolutely fun to be around, and can influence other people. And they influence people in the team, and they can influence some of the decisions that management make. And they tend to feel that they can hold the team together and move them towards the common goal. Well, here's where emotional intelligence comes in. A person with a high IQ or high emotional intelligence, they aren't always the smartest or the most intelligent people on the team, but they know how to speak to the quiet person. They know how to speak to the person that's full of life. The two extremes that I gave you just now, and they can pull them together to build the team's strengths and the spirit to achieve the goals and the objectives. That's what high IQ is. They know how to speak to everybody because they're empathetic towards how other people. They know how to communicate. They are people. That's what I like to call them. People. Okay, be goal-oriented. You could be coasting at work. You could have lots of things going on, and it's all going on really, really well, and everything is going as planned, and there's nothing wrong. But there's also nothing wrong with anticipating things going wrong. Problems along the way, thinking about what kind of problems there might be, and suggesting possible ways to mitigate any problems that might come, so that you can actually resolve them before they ever happen. That is what you call being proactive. As I've said before, and I say it in one-to-ones with clients, be your own cheerleader. Be your own cheerleader and be your own critic, and aim towards your own goal. Be aware of your strengths, to stand out. And we've done that on one-to-ones. All of these one-to-ones are online, or you can drop me a line and I can send you the information about it. But you've got to know your strengths. You've got to know exactly what you are good at, because when you know exactly what you're good at, you can also understand what your development areas are. We don't call them weaknesses. They're areas that could be developed. It's okay to fake it until you make it, as they say, but that faking it until you make it will only take you so far. So do small things well. Do small things exceptionally well. Sharpen your skills. I know that there's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people is sharpen the saw. Well, this is in the same box, different rung of the same ladder. Sharpen your skills and be so good that people notice you because you are that good. Okay, that's one of the things that I would do. Personal brand involves creating a reputation that is easily identified with your name. So as soon as somebody thinks of something, they'll think of you in a positive way. That's what personal brand is. It's what makes you different. It's what makes you stand out. So build one that is positive and one that helps you to stand out in the right way. And then the last thing to help you to build your personal brand is become a mentor. You know, this is a absolutely fantastic way to stand out. We mentioned being a go-to person earlier on. Well, this formalizes it, and you can definitely add value to your brand by helping and supporting newer colleagues and be the go-to person, but you can do it in a more formal way with people, and then tell your managers that you're doing that as well, because it ticks that little box, doesn't it? Okay, we're almost on time. We've got about 3 minutes left, so I just want to whiz through a summary of what we did. We talked about what is it that you want? What is your purpose? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? Why do you do what you do to go to work? Now, if it's not what you want it to be, then think about that. Have a plan to do what it is that you want to do, that you really want to do. We talked about your personal brand and making sure that it is the right positive brand that you want to put out there, and creating a reputation for yourself as the go-to person for specific projects and specific tasks. Be that guy, stand out. That's how you stand out, and that's how you shine. And goals, going back to what you want and going about your personal brand, pulling them both together and mapping out where you want to be. Where do you want to be? Why do you want to go there? What's it going to take to get you there? These are the questions that you should be continually asking yourself to help you to stand out and to shine. That is the end of this specific workshop in the Career Advanced and Development Group Coaching Program. As I said, it's for people that are looking for career development, personal development, unsure of what coaching is, seeking career change, coming back into the work environment, are unchallenged and bored in the workplace, or they don't necessarily have the resource that they want to be able to move forward. There's lots of packages. I did this on the live. It's one-to-one coaching that you can do. We have 3 packages. We have the 3 to 6 month plan. We have the silver plan, which is a 1 month plan. And we have the bronze, which is the ad hoc one-off situations that some clients particularly want with a coach. And we have the platinum 2-day event. Okay, so all of these will help you to achieve your results, and we do them using Skype, and we use Zoom, and we do one-to-one, dependent on where they are in terms of logistics. This is only open until midnight, so if you're watching this afterwards, the time is gone. But there's a 20% discount on all of the packages. So the gold packages is 3 to 6 months, as you know, and 20% off of that. The silver package has 20% off, and the bronze package has 20% off. Okay, there are ways that you can contact. Send an email, IMPRPRF. That's the code you want to send, the discount code, to info@improvingperformance.co.uk, and that's open until midnight tonight. And the ways that you can engage and contact us is via the Facebook groups at Generation X Career Advanced and Development and the Career Advanced and Development and Improving Performance Personal Coaching Facebook page. You can contact us on the www.improvingperformance.co.uk. I have a YouTube channel where most of these videos are. As I said, I'm still working through the process of getting all of those logged on so that you can actually go through them in whatever order you want to. And obviously there's an Instagram and a Twitter page that you can engage on. The next event is on the 24th of September. If you've passed this, then so if you've passed that date, don't go on. It's already happened. This is a recorded prior to that call. Sorry, there I just got a little bit ahead of myself, so I'm trying to stop the sharing and then get back to a video. Here we are. So thank you very much for joining me on this session on standing out and shining. And if there is any way that I can help you as a coach, then send me a message. Click the link below and you can book a 15-minute call with me just to identify how we can work together if it's something that you want to do. This is Reg Gosling from Improving Performance. Thank you very much for watching this video.